Every wedding that I have ever been to, every bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, there's one person who brings the function alive, and that's my guest today, Johnny Birin. Johnny, it's lovely to have you here.
Thank you very much.
We're going to start off because I've watched The Wedding Singer, I've seen Bridesmaids, I've seen Wedding Crashes. You must have a lot of stories to tell.
I've got a lot of stories to tell, but if I told all the stories, the launch will be at AOR Tambo, at the Parsha Hall.
Tell us just one funny story.
No,
You don't have to mention
I was
names.
thinking about it. There are so many. I mean, just recently, in the last 2 months, I mean, I'm playing at Killarney, and a woman comes in, she brings a present. She puts the present down. She's early, and I'm still doing a sound check. And then 1 or 2 guests come, and then another 2 guests come, another 2 guests come. There are like 40 people, and she's looking around, and obviously she realizes she doesn't recognize anybody. She comes up to me, she says to me, "Is this the so-and-so function?" I said, "No." She says, "Oh, I'm at the wrong function." She picks up her stuff and goes back. I did another one recently where the father got up. This was like classic, and he said, he's so happy that Lawrence is part of the family. It was his daughter getting married. The problem is Lawrence was the ex-boyfriend.
In the speech?
In the speech. It was horrendous. We have a lot of fun. I've had the same guys, members of my band for 20 years now. So it's and we actually love playing at weddings. There's always interaction with people of the audience. They'll come up onto the stage, and we encourage them to participate with the band. Sometimes we switch off the microphone. They don't know when they're singing along, but that's our method of the success of the music, is that we are a party band and we're not a concert band. But there have been hundreds of stories of normally really good stories. I had one tragic one where the mother was screaming to the bride, "You're not going to American lady, you're not going to marry my son, you're not going to marry my son." This was like 30 seconds before the thing, and they got married,
Johnny, when did you get into it? You say 20 years.
Yeah, it's a bit longer than that, but yeah. So I'm from Port Elizabeth.
Okay.
I went to university there, PE. I did psychology, which...
Are you kidding me?
No, I did 4 years in psychology, which I've needed my whole life. But I always knew I was going to do music. Even through varsity, I played like 3-4 times a week with a friend of mine, Mandy Gurr in PE. She's still there, and we were a duo. And then I knew I was going to do function.
Were you self-taught or?
No, I did classics up to about grade 6, grade 7.
Piano.
Piano, and then I moved over to keyboards. And that's that. But I always knew I was going to go into weddings. In fact, one of the first weddings I did here, I was lying in bed on a Sunday morning, and someone phoned me, and got my number. He phoned my sister, wanted to speak to me. He says, "It's so-and-so, do you remember me?" I said, "Of course, from PE. We went to the same school." He says, "Do you do weddings?" I went, "Yes," but I hadn't done one. And he said to me, "Listen, can you do my wedding?" I said, "Yes." I said, "When is it?" He says, "Well, it's in an hour and a half. The musicians just let me down." So that's how I started. Yeah, I packed my things, I charged off to the venue, and I did the wedding, and that's how I started. And from one function, you get another one. Business cards and advertising doesn't work in my industry. Yeah. It's just word of mouth, basically.
Yeah. They see you performing, and they want you.
Yeah.
Look, you're wonderful at a wedding, I must say, because you do bring the crowd alive, and I think it's so important that you have someone who can actually read the situation and is able to cater accordingly.
And a guy taught me, an American guy, and has the top band in New York. And he said to me, the success of if you want to be a successful band, he says, A, take your ego and throw it out the window. So I said to him, "I don't have an ego." He says, "Good, that's number one." He says, "Number 2, make yourself the weakest link in the band, musically."
Yeah.
So I know what has to be done at the wedding. I've got the format, and I'm the leader. There has to be a leader. But the rest of the guys have all got B-musses. They don't look like it, and they don't behave like it outside. They're like children, but they've all got B-musses, Bachelor of Music, and they...
So what do you do? I mean, you've got to keep up with music.
Yes.
You've got to keep up, so you've got to practice.
We do not so much practice, but preparation.
Yeah. Okay.
So I had someone in my recording studio yesterday. I've got a recording studio in Glendower, and they were totally unrehearsed. I mean, they came in, they didn't have the backing tracks. It was on their computer. They brought this big computer. They couldn't find it. And they said, "I thought we'd just come here and jam in the studio." And I said, I had a woman in the morning, Ashley Hayden. She's also on television,
nice.
and
Sure.
and she
She's
said
from the old days.
"That's
she was
it,
she was in Annie.
that's it, that's
Which is this big.
That's it." And then she said to me, "Yes," she says, "This is like the people think that this is what happens, but like Maya Khan from SA Breweries taught me something, and they said yes." It took me 3 weeks to make the most brilliant impromptu speech.
Yes.
So a lot of people,
Yeah.
they prepare and prepare. And so mentally, like I'm going through what I'm going to do. Like I've got a function tonight. So in my head, from last night, I'm going through, this is how it's going to run. And if something goes wrong, then I'm going to replace it with this. So it's not stuck like this, even though we have a similar repertoire. But we might play one song earlier and one song later in the evening. And maybe I'll sing a song, or maybe my guy was vocalist.
Tell us about your band then. Tell
So,
us.
okay,
so who makes up your band?
So my illegitimate children are. I have two bands. One for the Jewish religious, and then I have a secular corporate band.
Uh-huh.
Then I've got a very good friend of mine, Phil Holder, who's by far the best saxophonist in the country. And as the second best said, there are saxophonists, and then you get Phil Holder. He's the guy with the hat, and he walks into the audience and he plays. And then I've got a guy, Sydney Mavundla, brilliant trumpeter. Speedy on trombone. My drummer, Neil, has just emigrated to London last week. He played with me for 20 years. And then I have one or two different female vocalists for the corporate functions. I have a very good violinist for some functions. So we basically have kept the core for 20 years. It's basically one or two female vocalists.
You've had to get Sydney sometimes to learn these Hasidic songs.
No, they think they're Jewish. You know, it's an amazing. I have music scores that I buy, and we all buy from the same guy in New York. So it was quite funny. I was playing at a very religious wedding, and this guy comes up to me and says, "You know, I was in a wedding in Crown Heights 3 nights ago. You guys are doing the same repertoire." So I said, "I know, we buy from the same guy. That's why." So if I'm paying dollars.
And the corporate side, I mean, that must also be very big today.
Corporate side's really good. Some of them are not difficult, but they're challenging because a lot of companies invite without partners. So now you've got to break away. And you've got to break away from the corporate and get the people. You've got to break the egg, quite early in the evening. I mean, you talk about stories. I mean, this will be in my book. I did a function last year in November, corporate. I definitely won't mention the name. And the CEO, a big company, gets up and he says, "I suppose you noticed there are 2 or 3 missing tables. You know, we've amalgamated, and there's rumors that there's going to be retrenchments." And he goes, "Well, there will be retrenchments, but anyway, have a fantastic Christmas party." And then they expected me to come and get the people dancing.
Yeah. Which you did.
Yeah, eventually I did. But I must tell you a story about Sasfin. Coming here, it's my favorite story of all times. Is that a relative of mine, she got 100,000 rand, and from a property that she had to sell. And it was very precious because that's all she had, 100 grand and a little bit more. So I said, "Give me the money, I'll invest it," because I've been investing at Sasfin forever. And I pick up the phone and I phone Pano upstairs. I said, "Pano, I've spoken to my father-in-law, Barry." And Barry says, because he's my guru, my father-in-law, that's all he does, he plays the stock exchange. And Barry says that I must buy 100,000 rand worth of MTN. And he says, "Great." And then Pano's talking, I can hear he's talking on my normal phone, and my cell phone rings. And my wife is phoning me. She's got the auntie's come from overseas. She can't find her, and she thinks the auntie's going to take a taxi to who knows. And which airline is it? Because it could be 1 or 4 airlines. And she's panicking like crazy because this auntie could do that type of thing. Just take a taxi and just drive. And my wife said, "Get onto my email, see which flight it was." And I can hear Pano's like yapping. Eventually I go, "Pano, just buy the shares." And I slam the phone down. Anyway, Pano phones me 4 hours later. He says, "Look, I bought your NPN shares, but you were rude. You know, you slammed the phone." I said, "Pano," I said, "MTN." He says, "I heard NPN, and I was telling you the whole history of Naspers." And I said, "No." I said, "How much were the shares?" I didn't know the shares. It was 800 rand. So this is about less than 2 years ago. I get a cold sweat. I phone my father-in-law. I said, "Listen, I'm being honest now. I have made a big mess. What must I do? He phones his broker company, says, look, it's very expensive, but keep it.
Naspers.
I look on the internet.
Have you kept them?
I look on the internet and there's a picture of two guys from Cape Town. Why you must sell Naspers immediately? And if you Google it, you'll say, and I go, no! What am I going to do? I have now lost this money. And my father says, Jesus, keep it, this share. So as we know, like of today, it's like sitting at 2,400. So we
Thank
have
goodness you bought Naspers and not MTN, because MTN's hard.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to use that story.
Yeah.
MTN and NPN.
Yeah, so-
I always look for a market
So
story where someone's
I phoned
moved.
your guy Flavia and I said, how did you do this past year? He says, well, it wasn't a great year. I said, check my portfolio.
Family life?
Okay, so I've got
You got kids?
I've got a daughter. She's 21 years old.
Oh, you're kidding.
She is dynamite. She's very short. And I always say to Jewish guys, if you're going to marry a Jewish girl, make sure she's over 6'5", because anything lower, their resolve gets bigger and bigger. So my wife and her are like this, but you don't mess with them. And she's very into, her name's Ruby Ann, she's into archaeology. She just came back from...
It's not a normal Jewish job.
No,
that,
it's not really. No.
No.
She went to an expedition with Harvard University. It's called the Leon Levy expedition in Ashkelon in Israel. And they found this year the first Philistine cemetery, which is unbelievable because we didn't know about David and Goliath, and they found it. So I said to his Goliath, really that tall? She says, no, Dad's just Jewish boys are just short. So she made New York Times. The picture was in the New York Times. She made a picture. I'm very proud of her, obviously.
Johnny, we're going to have to wrap it up here.
Okay, great.
It's been wonderful.
Thank you
It's
very
gone
much.
so fast.
Yes.
It really has been a delight. It's been hysterical. And I know that you've got a function tonight and you've got to go prepare.
Yes.
I'm so pleased you've been here.
Thank you
You've
very
been on
much.
the couch with me, David Shapiro, and the wedding singer, Johnny Birin.